everybody, we're here on Messy on Purpose. My name is Lee, and we have, Fylisha, our host. We're co-hosting this show called Messy on Purpose, and we're going to get messy with it right now. We've got David Monhtalvo in the hot seat today, and what are we talking about here, David? What's going on?
So I'm very thankful for you guys for inviting me on the show. So I'm actually an author. So I published a book. It's about my mom, an audacious single mom who opens her heart and home to 5 adopted kids while embracing her Latino culture while being Jewish. So it's a very beautiful taste because most people, when they think Jewish, they think he's probably from Europe, he's probably from the Middle East, but not Latino. So I think...
Wow. Yeah, I would never associate the two, right? Actually.
That's crazy. Now, is that... Now, typically, because I've done a lot teaching back in the day, like 25, 30 years ago, and I was a teacher, and everybody was Jewish. So I went to a lot... I mean, I don't know how many... I can't even count on one hand how many bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs that I went to.
Whoa.
So I went to a lot of mitzvahs, right? You know, sheket bavakusha, shut up, please, you know, in Hebrew. So I know some Hebrew. But how does that work? I mean, because typically... being Jewish, either you can convert or it's through the grandmother. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes. So look, even my book, right? It's a beautiful picture. You see, it says Shabbat in Chicago. My mom is in the middle. I'm wearing a T-shirt, you know, red. People think I work at Target, but I don't. But all of us, it's a beautiful picture because you have Hispanic and you have Ashkenaz Jews raising a glass of wine. Cheers.
Wow.
And just that shows unity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the sad part, right, in history, in the media, they like to portray a certain story.
Always.
So I wanted to break that stigma. I wanted to show our story. And you like history. So one of my favorite teachers or people I like to study, his name is Rambam. And Rambam, he lived during like the mid of the Crusades. So you remember the Holy Wars.
Absolutely.
And what's fascinating is that he read the entire Quran, he memorized it, and he came up with his own commentaries of the Bible. But he implemented stories of Socrates from the Greeks and Islam, and he put it together.
Wow.
And what was amazing is that he had good relationships with Muslims, and he was a Spanish Jew from Spain. And what was fascinating is when he came out with his work, a lot of Jewish groups were against it because it wasn't mainstream. It was too different. What he was trying to show is we're all connected. We all want the same. The higher up, whoever it is, we're trying to find it. And he found that we could live together. And I love that. So I share a little bit about him in the book. And I feel like he might be in my past, like maybe a great-great-grandfather. But that's a little bit. Okay. I hope I answered the question.
No, you did. Yeah, absolutely. So the book takes place in. Give us a little bit about the book, a little bit of that. I mean, I don't tell everything, but we want people to read it. But
enough to get them interested in grabbing one.
Absolutely. Right? Exactly.
I won't spill the cheese or the beans, but I got you guys.
I love it.
So what's fascinating is that with my mom, I'll give you a little cherry to the pie, but my mom, when she was young, she wanted to be a writer. She wrote 100 pages, old school, with paper and pen, and she presented to my father. And my father burned it and said, "You'll never be a good writer," and crushed her dream. And when I heard that story, I said, I gotta write a book about it to break the curse and fulfill her dream. So she had no idea I was working on the book. And once it was published, the week of my birthday, I came in with my publisher in a little birthday bag, and I said, "Mom, I've been waiting to share you this." And I pull out the book, and it's her story, and she started crying.
Wow.
And the hug she gave me was a love like, you know, I'm not that young no more, but I felt the love, probably the best feeling I've ever had in my whole life. And now when she's going in her stores or going with her girlfriends, she's like, "Guess what? My son wrote me a book."
Wow.
And I feel special. I feel like this is what I want to pass on generations. You know, I think a lot of us, we came from abusive, either we had an experience in an abusive relationship, maybe a friendship where we thought they were our friends and they betray us. But we got out of that and we became stronger. So I feel like this story is going to definitely make you cry, and make you laugh. You know, it might, you know, make you sweat. You're like, what's gonna happen next? But I think it's a beautiful story. But yeah, I hope I share a little bit.
I like that. I mean, there's something about history, about family, and there's deep rooted things in all of us. And when you can go back to something that's so historical that means something to you culturally, it's impactful. And on the fact that it's actually your mother's story, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
I can't imagine what that feels like to be able to embrace, because writing a book is no small task. I mean, I've tried, several times to try to write something, but I just don't have it in that respect, and that's okay. But that's inspirational.
Thank you.
Were you always a writer?
So I wasn't. I actually, this is a little cool thing. In college, I created the first YouTube sitcom in Chicago with 3 seasons, 45 videos, and what's amazing is that was my breakthrough. That was my first time getting the highlights. I felt a little popular, young kid, because people thought that we couldn't do this. Mm-hmm. And, we presented this script to WTTW, and they heard our idea, and they're like, I don't see it fitting. So I said, you know what? Let's release it on YouTube. Let's make it happen. And what's so beautiful is that it has a lot of messages about bullying, about a drug addiction, about you could be so intelligent, like probably the smartest kid on school, but when it comes down to life, are you making those right decisions? Maybe not, because you don't have those experiences. So we get to share a different aspect, and I think that I never saw myself as an author, just an actor, just acting, producing, and that was my baby, right? That got me into newspaper, radio station. So that was my thing. But writing, honestly, to be honest, and I'm going to be honest, it's not too late for any of you guys, because when you write, it's like therapy. Everything I write down, anything you're holding in, you can let it go. Even if that person does not read it, whoever you're writing it to, is for yourself. It's almost like when you forgive somebody, you're not only forgiving that person, but yourself as well. If they don't accept it, right, it's okay, because I did my best, and I hope we can move on. And sometimes it's going to take a process, right? Maybe a couple years, maybe a couple months, but if they're really your friend, they'll come back. Yeah, they'll be like, hey, you know what, I messed up too. Let's work it out.
It's funny, a lot of people use journaling for that same reason. I mean, I can see where a book would help with that as well. I'm a little too ADHD to sit down and write. I can't sit still.
I think Fylisha, I think that you definitely could. You have some great ideas. We worked on a little TV show.
I'm good at putting down, but actually writing it would be the problem. Is the actual putting it. I could take my thoughts and put it in a ChatGPT and turn it into a book.
And that's
but the way I write and the way I take notes is very. Only me understands.
You're going to love this. I got a little secret I can share with you guys. So my professor told me, because I was struggling in college. I wasn't a great writer. And I told my professor, I can't write these essays. It's too many. I'm getting lost track. And I feel like I can't put my feelings, my heart into the writing. And my professor's like, I got a secret I'm going to share with you. I said, tell me. She goes, I want you to tape record your whole essay. Have your bullet points and say it out loud. So I did it. I tape recorded it. I had at least, she said, once you're done, type everything word by word in the computer. The way you speak is not grammatically correct. So now you just got to fix the punctuation. But here's the best part. Your voice is there. So you don't have to worry it doesn't sound like me. It's there. So now you got to change it up. And then once you type it up, you can proofread it, send it to me, and I'll fix it up a little bit. But that's if you really want to find your voice, tape recording.
I actually found mine doing this podcast, I think. I think this has been my outlet. It's very similar to journaling, like you said, you're talking and you're recording yourself and then you're putting it down on paper. Well, we just talk directly into the camera, on a regular basis, and I think that helps a lot too.
Wow.
It's been very therapeutic for myself and her, and I'm not just speaking for her, she's got her own voice, but the reason why I come and when someone asked me today when I was driving up here, what do you get out of this? I'm like, it wasn't a thought. I mean, I told Fylisha, I said, I'm really thankful that you asked me to help out on this, because she'd already been doing it previously, and I was on a couple of episodes, but I've been on a handful of episodes, at least 15 or 20 now, and it's therapeutic for me. I mean, because we are a mirror of what we're writing down. Our thoughts, our perceptions are sometimes a little bit different, but how I feel and go through this world is internally inside of me. And so when I'm speaking to her about stuff, like you said before, when I'm telling you something, I'm telling myself. Like you said before, when I'm writing this down, this message this is for me, not for you. Like you said, I'm going to forgive this person, but really forgiveness is for me, not you. If you did something to me, I say, I forgive you. I'm not going to bottle this up and hold it inside. That's going to kill me. It's like waiting for someone, like, well, here's the poison. I take the poison and I'm waiting for you to die, but I took it.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what releasing these notes and writing, this is what this has been for me. I now can release some of that energy into the ethos, into the world. But I know that when I'm telling people and I'm talking to them, it's not for them. It's for me. So that's what this has been really for us.
And I think being like more talkers, I would definitely call us talkers. My husband says that this is my hobby, is talking. But I think that versus like sitting down, some people are just better with like being with themselves and like, thinking things through themselves. And then like for me, it's better to have a conversation with somebody. More comes out, more thinking, more, processing and things like that.
Wow.
What was important for you, David? Why? That's what people are going to want to know. Why? Why did you decide to do something so special for not only yourself but for your mother?
Oh, so this is. He hit me with the right hook. I wasn't ready. I didn't get the stretch. So look, let me tell you this. So I asked my rabbi, right? I asked him, I want to write this book, and he told me something I've never heard of. He said, you know what's the greatest gift a child can give to their parent? I said, what is it? Writing a book about them. Because he said you can pass this to generations. And when you have kids and your kids, let's say they never meet your grandma, right? Their grandma, they can read that chapter and say, wow, grandma was amazing. And a little part of them will be a part of their heart. So he's like, hold on to it. And I said, wow, that's powerful. So to answer your question, I think it's more, I want to do this to honor her, because my mom, being a single mom is not easy, right? It's very hard. I think that we got to give our women, props because they're strong. And I think that they don't get a lot of credit. I think they are heroes to the world, When you read the first page, I actually dedicate a page to all women. How, because of you guys, you make us the person we are,
Agreed. My mom is, she'll be here in December. I'm going to bring, without my mom. I mean, my dad is, he's passed on, he was a military guy, instilled a lot of good values inside of me. But my mother, there's a softness and a strength in her that I learned, and I see her. I was, she's just, I get why you did that. It's special.
Thank you.
Very special.
And something I want to share too. So when the book came out, right, I'm going to be honest, it's a big risk, because if you're not Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, you're not making those billions. I'm going to be honest. And so everyone's like, why are you going to do this? You're not going to make money. And I said, well, this is my passion. I'm going to let the universe let it go, right? Let the flow go. So when the book came out, this is crazy. One of the biggest Jewish organizations, it's called Moshe House. What they do is they get young people from colleges and kind of get them connected with their faith. And so they've never had a Latino Jew to be a guest speaker in their event. And I said this would be huge. In Hispanic Heritage Month, we made tacos. I made all the tacos with my friend. I said, look, I know how to break it down. I know how to cook. If I'm not going to pay for catering, I'm going to cook myself. I'll be honest. So I got in the kitchen, chopped the tomatoes, and I made it. Everybody loved the food. They paid for the drinks and everything. And it was a beautiful moment, right? Crazy thing in life, right? How life works. I ordered the book so I can bring it to the guests. And my books and Amazon, they reversed the order. So I never got the books when I got to my book event. Okay. So embarrassing. But at the same time, it made me stronger, because it's testing me. Are you still doing this for the money? Because I know when I get there, am I trying to sell all this? Even though it was a full group, it was like 50 people, I had to be strong, you know? So I did the book event, and then doors start opening. This is crazy. One of my good friends, you guys probably know him because it's a small world in Vegas. His name is Chef Vic. He's from the TV show Bar Rescue. He invited me on a Tuesday or a weekday, and it was real late at night. He's like, I need you to come out. I said, brother, I got my pajamas. I got to work the next day. I need you to come out. It's going to change your life. We go outside. I go to this place. It's a beauty salon. I don't know anything about hair product, makeup. I don't know anything. And they asked me, Dave, what you think about this? I said, honestly, you know that blow dryer right there? I know if you touch it, it gets real hot. So you've got to watch yourself. And they start laughing. So now we're talking about blowing your hair with the blow dryer, you know? Now I could talk about electricity. I know a little bit.
Right.
Plug it on. Cool. So my friend, Chef Vic, he took me outside. He's like, I need to introduce you to someone. So I meet this person, right? Very sweet lady. And we exchange business cards. You ready for this? I go home. I find out she happens to be the CFO or the CEO now of the biggest magazine in Las Vegas. So he says, I need you to send your pitch of your book to her. I send it to her. And she loved my pitch. She said, do you want us to write the piece, the article, or do you want to write it? I said, I'd rather write it because I read the book. You know, this is my story. So I wrote it. It came out on New Year's, like a year ago. And then this month passed, like a month ago, I came again in her magazine. So I brought both. The first one, this is the first one from the first, like her magazine. And she gave me 2 pages, which is wild. Wow. And then the second one, this is the second one. This just came out February. What's wild about this one, that this story has nothing to do with Vegas. It has to do with Chicago. Okay. So I did a book event in Chicago in the South Side, which is, everyone knows, is dangerous, right?
Oh, yeah.
And what's crazy, it was the oldest synagogue, one of the oldest synagogue in Chicago. And what was beautiful is that my rabbi got to share the stage with me. And for those who don't know, my rabbi happens to be Michelle Obama's first cousin. His name is Rabbi Fournier. And what was crazy is that, you know, he taught me what I know as a kid, right? He taught me, you know, learning about the Bible. And for him to share the stage with me, it was beautiful. We were celebrating Hanukkah and my book event. A lot of people that came were mostly my friends. It was 100 people, and they've never stepped foot in the synagogue.
Really?
So they all came, and I was super excited. The best part, hold on to your seat, I saw my father, who I haven't spoken to for a year.
Wow.
He came there, and, you know, me being polite, you know, that's still my dad. We shake hands, and I'm happy you came, Dad. Thank you. And he surprised me with my little brother, who I haven't spoke to for 15 years. Wow. We have this tension. And for him to be there and with open arms, gave me a big hug. I felt like, wow, he's giving me a second chance. And I told him in front of my dad, I said, look, little brother, I have a homework for you. He said, tell me. I said, well, I told my dad I really wanted to see you. And I'm happy I got to see you. Because I told him, why is that in family we wait until we bury the dead to say hello or something to that family member we don't talk to anymore?
Right.
It's better we talk now because we're still alive. So I said, little brother, my homework for you is to talk to your bigger brother and tell him I'm willing to hash this out. Let's fix this. Let's be a family again. And I said, do the same thing. I said, I don't want to hear, you don't have no excuse to say, I can't reach him, I can't find his phone, because you live together in the same place. So now I need you to do it. When I said that in front of my little brother, my father started to cry. Because I think he's realizing, like, yeah, I did a lot of, you know, trauma to my son. I hurt him along the way. But he's right. We got to be a family again. So with Candace, who's the CEO of the magazine, she heard the story. She's like, we need this piece, because this story about Hanukkah, your book, about forgiveness is so powerful, and people need to be heard and give people chances. And so she did it, and I was so happy. I got to tell my father about it, my little brother. And the beautiful part too also, with everything you guys hear in the news now, right, with all these synagogues being attacked, right, which is so sad. That day when I had my book event, we had no bodyguards, security. We just went with faith. I just pray that we're protected.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's recent then.
It's just recent, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it was a big deal that nothing happened to us. Mm-hmm. And everyone left like, wow, I've never been to something like this, so beautiful. And now I can see, we're like a family, all of us. And that's what I wanted. The message is like, I'm not trying to make anybody to be my faith. I think that everyone has their own journey, mm-hmm. and we just have to understand each other. When we do that, then we don't see no divide. We see, love. We see peace. And that's what I wanted. So I wanted to share that with you guys.
I appreciate that. And, it seems to me that the book was a lot more successful regardless of money, because there's things... You can't take any of this stuff with you. None of this material stuff that we have. And that book represents family, but it represents a story for you and other people that that's forever. It will always be here long after, all of us are gone here. 100 years from now, no one's going to know your name, or 200 years from now, who Michael Jackson is, or Prince, or any of those fights. We have literature and by great writers like yourself as well, that have put a story out there that will stand the test of time, which is nothing is more important than family.
Yeah.
Have you thought about, since you are an actor and in that kind of world, which Lee can relate because he is a director and actor and I don't know, you name it, he's it. And have you thought about making the book into either a documentary style, or maybe even just a quick short film, or maybe a full film?
I love that. So I have some news. I actually made a documentary based on my book. I did it in 24 hours. I filmed it. I flew in Chicago. I said, Mom, and most of the people in the book, the characters, I need you guys to not move. We're going to do this in the house, how I remember. So it was beautiful. We did a Shabbat dinner. And Shabbat is the Hebrew word for Sabbath. So when Jewish people don't work, they don't use technologies from Friday night till Saturday night. But what's beautiful is that the people that showed up for the Shabbat dinner, it was my Mexican side of the family. Some are Jewish, some are not. And my Guatemalan family, that are Jewish. And then we had one of my close friends. He's biracial. His mom is white Jewish and his dad is black. And his wife is Filipino, 100%, and she's Jewish. And we're all sitting down together, having Shabbat, breaking bread, eating, drinking a little wine, celebrating. And it was beautiful because in the documentary, the way I wrote the book, the same way, it's in English, Spanish, Hebrew, and Yiddish. Because I want to connect somehow with different cultures, different groups. And the documentary is very short. It's 18 minutes. I put it on YouTube. And I send it to actually some producers from the ones that do the music videos from Jonah Brothers, Sean Paul. I can't get his name right now because, you guys got me in the spotlight.
No,
so,
it's fine.
I'm sweating. And I sent him the piece. I said, hey, I want to get your feedback. What do you think about it? He goes, it's different. I love it. He goes, it's something I'm not used to seeing. He goes, you're showing how you can all live together. And it looks beautiful. You guys are all wearing white. I think I love the presentation. I love that you guys are singing together in unison. You may not know the song, right, that some of you guys are singing, but you guys are catching along. And you're translating what it is from Hebrew to English, so people could understand. I could share one little thing in the documentary, one last piece. So in Judaism, we have this thing where we study the Talmud. The Talmud is basically a bunch of rabbis debating on a particular subject, whether it's about legal stuff like courts, or anything, right? Or marriage, that's a big one too. And what's so nice is that it's all about debate. In Judaism, you're supposed to question your faith. You're supposed to not agree with everything. You're supposed to also have your opinion. And so I shared the story with the whole family in the documentary. They weren't ready for it. And I said, I'm going to share you guys a story. And they're like, what is it? Well, there was this man. He was a rabbi. And he told his wife, we're going to invite a lot of friends over. And I'm so excited. I just want you to be ready. She's like, yes, let's do it. So they're cooking. They're having fun. They're having a good time. Let's add some salt, whatever, right? And the wife accidentally, instead of putting sugar and in the cake for the dessert, she puts baking soda. So the question is, this is the quiz I gave to everyone. How would you respond as a partner, knowing that your guests have just arrived? How would you handle the situation for them eating the cake? And I want to hear your opinions, because then I'll share what they said and I'll give you the final answer.
So you're asking me, basically, and Fylisha, how would we respond if someone says, and we're going to put baking soda as opposed to sugar inside of a cake?
And she's already about to, the husband and the wife is about to bring it in the table. So everyone just ate their dinner. They're about to eat the cake. How do you handle the situation?
Oh, my husband would straight up just tell everyone. He's overly honest. So,
yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we would just tell him. Then me too. Like, I would just be like, yep. Yeah. We're going to need a different dessert.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say, I would probably go in and say, hey, everybody, we didn't have sugar. We used baking soda. I'm not sure how it's going to taste. So here, let's have at it. But ultimately, we're not here for that. We had some brisket. We had some good ass food or whatever we had. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, these are new answers. I want you guys to hold on to it.
Okay. Because
they gave a different answer, and you're going to love this. So my mom says, I'm going to give it to the neighbor. She's like, I'm going to give it to the neighbor. I start laughing. She's like, we ain't going to eat it, but we can ask the neighbor if they want the cake, because we're not going to eat it.
See, I wouldn't do that. My neighbors know I can cook.
Yeah, exactly.
I give them treats all the time. I'm about to make them some for babysitting my dog.
That's funny. And then another friend answered. I love his response. Right, he was. He's not in the film, but he's like a psychologist. Mm-hmm. He said, "You really want to know who your real friends are? Is that when they eat the cake, if they don't judge your wife's cake, like they don't say, "Oh my gosh, it's nasty," then you will know those are your true friends, because you don't want to embarrass your partner, right?
Yeah, true.
So that's a way of testing them. Are they really your friends? The second thing you can do, right? If the cake comes, right, you could say, look, this is for decoration. It's not real.
That's true.
This just glue stuck to the plate, but don't eat it because it's not real. A girl answered, I love what she said. Another person answered, she said, well, if my husband does that, I'm going to fall on the cake so no one eats it, and I'll make sure everyone's safe. I don't want them to get sick or anything. Right. And then so the final answer of the story, you ready? Mm-hmm. The rabbi does something I couldn't even think about this. He ate the entire cake before everyone came, so that he wouldn't embarrass, or his wife won't feel embarrassed that no one liked the cake. So in the end of the story, no one is wrong. Your answer is not wrong. Your answer is not wrong. Right. No one. And that's how we study the Bible, the Talmud. We're supposed to dissect every situation and see how can we approach it differently? How can we get better? And I love that concept. Yeah. They did a study. This is really cool. A little study in Harvard. They had 3 yeshiva boys, meaning these young kids, 16, 15, that went to all-day school learning the Talmud. And they learned from 8 in the morning till like almost midnight every day. And they put them in a room with 3 Harvard students. And they had a court case. How are they going to handle it? Like, what's your argument? How can we know this person's innocent? And they realized that the 3 yeshiva boys outsmart the 3 Harvard students, because they've never got so depth with debate. Like I said, Talmud's all about debating, looking at different cases, court cases, in a different perspective. And they won. So I love that. And then I saw another video on YouTube where in Korea, they had kids, kind of like a curriculum where they had the students studying the Talmud because they want them to learn how to dispute or debate with the teachers and figure out how can I approach it differently. And I love that. And the teachers are not telling them to be Jewish, just saying we should study these, literacy, these books, because if they're helping these students to become great, teachers, lawyers, and these are good tools we can use as well, we got to study it. And I love that. I think it's beautiful,
I like that. I like the approach that something like the Bible, the Talmud, and you can correct me, that, when people typically look at it from a non-Judaism kind of, Catholicism, not Catholicism, just more of like Christianity, like this is what it is, and this is what it says, and then they interpret it, a preacher or whoever would interpret this a certain way, and this is the way God intended it to be. But looking at it that perspective is like we'd had different answers, but they're all kind of there's no right or wrong, basically. And it feels like a little more like Buddhism a little bit, like there is no up and down, it's just what is. If you're in outer space, am I up or down? It doesn't matter. So, but studying those things allows you another process to look at things differently and to also have respect for everything else too as well. Yes.
Here's another thing too. I can share. If you want to know if a priest, a rabbi, a teacher is not too egotistic or feels like they're above the law, you ask them one question, you're going to love this. I asked somebody who I've never met, right? He's a religious person. I'll ask him, what do you think about this verse? And if he says, I think that this verse says that you should do this, that's not a humble person. But I'll give you an example. I asked my rabbi about a verse I couldn't understand. I was like, this is a little bit too above what I'm thinking. Can you break it down? And he actually quoted somebody, a rabbi that passes away. His name is Rashi. And Rashi was a judge. He was French, and he had 3 daughters. He never had boys, so he was a big feminist. And he says, I'm not going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what Rashi says. And Rashi was a big, well-respected rabbi, and he shares what Rashi says about that verse. So what are you doing right there? At that moment, you're giving credit to the people before you. You're saying, I'm not worthy to tell you what that means. Let me tell you what this other person says, and I'll leave it to you. What do you think? And I love that because you're giving credit when it's due. It's like something you said to me, Fylisha. If you say something to me, you're like, you know what, Dave, I think you got to watch out with your money. I know you've been spending on that steak. And I know you keep going the same place.
I'd never tell you not to get steak. I would never tell you not to get steak.
But let's say I'm doing too much, right? I didn't pay my rent or something. Right. And you're like, come on, Dave, you know better. You got to pay your bills first, right? I'm always going to give credit to Fylisha for always calling me out that I'm messing up, right? To
if you want that kind of friend, that's me.
Right. And that's what I need. I don't need somebody to hide and try to pretend to like me, right? I need you to be honest, because then I can grow, I can get better. So that's how I look at it. I will always, give credit, be like, yeah, Fylisha, she's right. She's still here. She's right. I got to pay the rent. You know what I'm saying?
I do that stuff to Lee literally all the time, don't I?
I like it. It's great.
I think that's a real friend, though. Like, if people, honesty is so key. And that's why I said, when you brought up that example and asked, how we would approach it, me and my husband would approach it exactly the same, with honesty, because we believe wholeheartedly that is the best way to go, regardless of how hard it is to hear sometimes.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, we don't want to be called out on our crap.
Yeah.
And it does hurt people's feelings and stuff like that, but I'm also not going to let somebody jeopardize their entire life because of one thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fylisha and I had a conversation the other day about, I'm a little bit older and I'm online, and certain people, but it's nice to have a voice of truth to say, hey, Lee, you need to look at X, Y, and Z. And I've got some people in my life that I trust to go, tell me that. What's going on? It's like, I'm going to check on you to make sure that you didn't text her or whatever that was, because I think that you're looking at it you need to look at it from a different lens. And I think that part of me growing up, knowing that how I can be, if you can truly start to look at yourself as a person who has faults, and we all aren't our best sometimes, those true friends and people you trust can, look at it from a different perspective. And I respect that about her. She can be brash, but it's great because I need true friends, like she said, are going to give you real honesty about stuff. But you have to be open to that situation too as well. And I think that openness happens from family or dire things that have happened in your life that allow you to be a place of, I hit rock bottom. She's been a rock bottom. I've been a rock bottom. If you ain't been to rock bottom, you ain't living. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care who you are on this stage. You have to hit rock bottom in order to hear the truth sometimes. And God or universe takes you there. If you want to be there, like, hey, God, use me as a vessel. All right, you got to go to rock bottom because you got to start over.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say it that way, too, because a lot of people do hit rock bottom, and yet they stay at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And they continue to hit rock bottom over and over and over again because they've never learned from that lesson that is being given to you.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's powerful. That's powerful. No, I really like that a lot. And everything you said so far is really vibing on, David. I do have a question for you.
Yeah. As
far as the book's concerned, how much does that encapsulate you and your mother and every family members? What is it? How much of that? I mean, she's living, obviously, correct?
Yes.
So how much does that go into her life? As far as is it going from when you were little to present day, or?
Oh,
how deep does it go?
Yeah, I should have brought the popcorn. Yes. Extra butter. Yeah. So look at this. In the beginning, I start with my mom's childhood, where she grew up in Guatemala, and why she is the person she is today, right? How she came to America, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to hear a lot in the stories. My mom got deported, right?
Don't give away all the good stuff.
Nothing, right. Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah. And it's crazy. She had a visa. She came here legally, and this is the first time my mom experienced racism, and they deported her. And she told my grandma.
Around what time was that?
I wasn't even born, so this got to be. Let's see.
It's just to kind of give more of a visual of what that looks like.
You got me right there. Because if
70s or 80s or no, or was it before that?
I don't see. You guys got me. I wrote down the dates.
Okay,
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah,
but you got me with that one.
It was just because how racism has changed over time, and I mean it's always going to exist, but it's changed over time. Yeah. So having a better idea, that was why I asked.
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you. You got me thinking. I'm trying to download it. I got stuck. You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting is my mom, when she came back to the States, to Guatemala, she asked my grandma for guidance. Should I go back? Is it worth it? My grandma's like, don't stop. Go. You're going to have a better life. My mom went there, right? Luckily she had her older sister that lived in the States, even my other aunt. And
where'd she end up first?
So she ended up first in
Chicago?
Jersey.
Oh, it was in Jersey. Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, and then she moved to Chicago.
Okay.
So she moved a lot. You've seen the book. We move in different places, and my mom, it's crazy because my mom coming to America, you don't know the language. You're gonna get lost for sure. Mm-hmm. She finally learned it. Right. It took her time, and just seeing that my mom had this love for the community. So remember how I said Shabbat, we had in the documentary, just my family? Mm-hmm. My mom would have 100 people in Shabbat. So we're talking about a short little lady cooking for 100 people. We had 100 glasses of wine, 100 plates and food. Wow. And people would come over, and people were shocked to see that this lady could cook for 100 people. And not only that, my mom took people from broken families and said, come in. And I love this for my mom. When they moved out, right, when they got their stuff together, My mom said, can you do me one thing before you leave? She goes, what is it? Can you pray for me? That everything will be okay for me and I can continue this. And the families did it, right? One thing, too, I mentioned in the book is that I believe in reincarnation. And I believe that my mom, a lot of people say this in Vegas and Chicago, that my mom is a reincarnation of Henny Malkus. Henny Malkus is a very, I would say, hero. She's a leader to a lot of women. She did the exact same thing of my mom. Instead, in Jerusalem, she did it there. And what was crazy is that she would cook for so many people in this tiny apartment. You know, she had kids. She had a husband who was a rabbi. And he would cook for people, taking people that were not Jewish, Christians, atheists, same thing like my mom, took them in and changed their lives. And I always tell people this, not to brag, but my mom didn't have a man. So that was the only difference. My mama, they may be, and I believe it, they may have been the same person, reincarnation.
What did your mom like idolize her?
She didn't know her.
Oh, she didn't know. Okay.
Until she finally did these things, people start saying, you're just like her.
Oh, okay. That's how she found out.
Right. And I found out too. So I said, let me put her story in the book too. Because she was here before my mom was doing this. And I love that. And the thing too, you have to understand, you know, like Henny, she had the community to help her with money wise too. You know, they were able to do a lot of good things to help, you know, the community. My mom didn't. My mom, she had every paycheck she had was for Shabbat. You know, we didn't celebrate any really big holidays like Hanukkah. We would celebrate it, but I didn't get a gift. Or, you know how Christmas we all get gifts. And my mom was so honest with the family that are Jewish or not. She'll say, look, please, for the holidays, don't buy any of the family gifts. Because then in her head, we got to buy everyone gifts. So my mom, what she would do is, because we didn't get gifts, she would take all the family in road trips. So that way, that's our time together.
I think that's better.
Yeah.
I think making memories together is better than any materialistic item.
Yeah. Because then you're like, did she get the iPad? And I got a little slingshot. I really wanted the iPad she got. It's touchscreen, you know.
But are you going to even remember that iPad when you get older? You know what I mean?
I won't.
Or any toy growing up that you got for Christmas, like,
yeah.
I don't remember what I got. Yeah. Like, it was just materialistic things. I would have much rather went on a trip.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really cool.
And that's why I'm so grateful, right? My mom, you hear something too in the book. I used to complain as a kid because at one point you'll see in the book, we had 18 people live in our house. That was the most. And I said, Mom, why we got so many people here? It's too many. I have to share my room. I want to have my own room, my own space. And my mom said something that till this day I remember. She said, this is my house. I can do whatever I want. I'm just going to be honest. But I'm teaching you a lesson you will not learn from the books. And I said, what is that? You're learning how to deal with different personalities. Some people, they may have anger issues, bipolar, whatever, but you know how to deal with it. And the fact that you know how to deal with it, when you're in the streets, you'll understand and have more patience with them and learn to avoid any conflict or maybe not understanding why they're acting that way. And now that I'm older, I'm so grateful now because when I meet people now, I can right away detect within 2 minutes when I meet somebody new, I can say, okay, this person, they have a lot of anger. I gotta make sure I don't, try to make a scene or have any debate because I know this person will take it too personal. I'm gonna just stay quiet, just observe.
Oh, it's a very needed skill that I don't think a lot of people have, like being able to read people and their body language and knowing how to handle hysterical situations and like even down to like somebody who's on the spectrum, you know what I mean? Being able to handle that. I mean, I didn't even realize how common that was until I watched Love on the Spectrum. Wow. And then I seen things and I was like, wait a minute, that was my brother. You know what I mean? Like, there's things like that, and it's like, holy crap. But you don't know that until you're experienced by it. And you luckily got that experience at a young age that probably helped you into where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. I have a scenario I can share. I had somebody come into my job, and I told my boss and my coworkers, I want you to tell me what is off by this person. What can you see from the outside that you can tell something's a little off, that you got to be cautious? And they're like, I can't tell. I said, the first thing I noticed is his wrist. His wrist had a white bracelet. Not the ones like is made. It's like you only see them when you come out of rehab. And I saw it right away. And I said, watch this. I just told him that part. I said, watch, in 2 minutes he's about to reveal that he just got a rehab. And they're like, I don't believe you. Let's give it a chance. So I started talking to him. Hey, how was your day yesterday? Oh, man, it was a struggle. You know, I just got a rehab yesterday. Boom, he just said it. And they're like, how did you know? I said, there's certain things. Sometimes people, they twitch a lot because they're it's part of the cleansiness when you're detox. You can tell they're struggling with their own body because they want it, and you can see it. And right away, you know, I had a nice conversation with him. You know, instead of me like putting him down, right, and saying, why are you still doing this? Like some parents, they do, they scold their kids like, you're doing the same thing, you're not learning. But you got to have some compassion too, because we as humans, we make mistakes all the time. We're not perfect. And I think that if we show sympathy, right, and showing, look, I'm willing to be with you, right, even not saying words to them, it's more powerful. Like I had a friend, many friends that are alcoholic. And one thing I did for myself is I stopped drinking. I didn't tell them. I did it because I wanted to fight the battle with them. Because even though I don't have that addiction, but I know every time I'm not drinking now, she's there too, fighting with me. And I know I'm here for her. So when she's like, man, I feel like I want to have another drink, I'm right here with you. You know, let's have some ice cream. Let's do something. And then if I could share one little thing about liquor, I think you're going to love this.
Neither one of us drink, so.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
This is wild. We're in the same frequency now.
Yeah.
The same page. Now I feel better. I can tell the Wi-Fi is working now. So look at this. This is a really beautiful concept. I want to share. So in Judaism, we have this thing called the Midrash. Midrash basically means the secrets of the Torah. Now in the Bible, we read the story of Noah. Noah came from the flood, and he saved the animals and his family. But it says the next verse that when they land, that he got drunk. But it doesn't tell us how he made wine, if he's the first person to make wine. It doesn't say, well, how or what happened, right? So the Midrash goes in detail, and you're going to love this part. It says that Noah got with Satan, and Satan goes, you want to make something together? We got to celebrate. And Noah goes, yeah, I'm. You know what? This is a good idea. Let's do it. So he's like, okay, let's get a vineyard. Let's get some grapes. I'm going to show you how to do this. So he's doing it, right? And he gets a big pot. So they add a lion. They add a lamb, a monkey, a lion, and a pig. And so they're making this together. And the end of the story, they said when you drink one cup, you feel like a lamb. You're calm. You're in peace. You're mellow. When you drink 2 cups, you feel like a monkey. You want to dance, show off your skills, maybe talk to that girl and go show her your spin. When you drink another cup, you feel like a lion. Your ego is to the sky. You feel like you could fight anybody. No one can touch you. When you drink the last cup, the 4th, you feel like a pig. You throw up. You get sloppy. You're hangover, right? So why am I sharing this? Because when you go to any stores, right? Albertson, Benny's, all these big stores, what does it say on their flyer? Wine and spirits. So anytime now when you go out to a store, to a bar, to a birthday party, or a dinner, now observe them as one of those animals. Be like, oh, wow, I'm talking to a lion right now.
Oh, wow.
That's a lion. He's about to make a scene. I got to step away. Mm-hmm. This person only had one drink. Wow, he's so calm. I feel like he's so fun to hang out with. That's a lamb. Mm-hmm. So now you can observe and protect yourself. You can kind of look at it like psychology. You can see who you're dealing with. And at the end, I always tell people, which of those animals are you? You know, just, you know, when it comes down to drinking, luckily you guys are free. You don't need that, right? I don't need it either. So I thought it was a beautiful piece because talking about liquor, I wanted to share that little cherry.
Yes. I mean, I do look at like alcohol as like evil. It's literally not good for you. You're putting a toxin in your body. Like it's really bad for you. And a lot of people like gain weight because your body's trying to absorb this toxin and it's not absorbing the food you're eating. And like, it's just, you know, there's so many negative things. You feel like crap afterwards. So like, I've always kind of looked at it like the devil anyways. Yeah. It was the devil when I was young too and drank it.
Wow. Absolutely. No, this has been great. Let me ask you one last little question before we. Then I don't hope that I don't cut off. But elevator speech, or why should someone go out and check this book out to this audience?
If you want to learn to be on your own, right? To make something out of yourself, to take risks in life, I think this book is for you. Now, if you're afraid and you're stuck at your little box, right? You're afraid to get out of your comfort zone, then maybe this is not the book for you. But I do believe that everyone has the power to get out that box, to try something new. Whether it be writing a book, whether it be starting a podcast, right? Whether it be, you know, speaking to schools. I think that this book will show people different ways of looking at life and not to be afraid. I think that's the message.
I think too, the way you did it as a story with lessons is very open to more of an audience, right? Like it's a bigger audience because it's not necessarily a self-help book. It's also not necessarily like a fantasy book, right? Like it's literally real life with real lessons. So I think that kind of pulls from, you know, different sectors of people, which is really great.
Thank you.
I like that a lot.
Thank you.
I like that a lot. So if you're here watching or listening, David's been a great guest for myself and Fylisha today. And he left you with, you know, if you want to get out of that box and not be afraid and you want to have a family-oriented story, you need to read this book. What's the book called, by the way?
Shabbat in Chicago.
Hey, well, that's great. Shabbat Shalom.
And where can you find it?
Oh, yeah.
In Amazon.
Yes.
And then I want to leave one more thing.
Yeah, please.
I want any piece of advice that you can give that you would like to share, just kind of end off on that.
Yes, I think that when it comes down to posting, right, putting out content, whether it's your book, whether it's your podcast, whether it's a funny video.
You've seen all my annoying ones, I'm sure.
No, you do good. You do good. I think that, you know, don't let people judge you, right, for being yourself. I think that if you let that go and do it for yourself, doesn't matter what people think of your content or your piece, your art, because that's you, that's part of you. And if they can't accept it, like I said, it's not for them. But the main thing is you can't stop. You know, I think that if you post every day, consistency, right? My mentor told me, he said that the audience don't care if you get sick. If they don't see that video by tomorrow, you're a one-hit wonder. They don't take you serious. So you want to keep posting. You want to show the audience, hey, I'm here. Because they want to see life. Their life, maybe their reality is not fun. But something about you guys, right? Your podcast, anything you're doing, they like that. They're intrigued by it. They're hooked by it. So keep that fire going. Don't stop.
I love it.
I like that. Especially because we're all content people.
Exactly. But this has been a great podcast with David, and you need to pick the book up. And I will say a couple things. Always stay messy, you guys. And myself and Fylisha and David say goodbye, but I want to say one thing. L'chaim to life, you guys.
Until next time, guys.
Stay messy.
Bye.